Lights go red, the crowd gets loud, boots hit hard, and we stand proud. From the mat to the microphone, this is the house that grit has grown. Old school stories, new school flame, every era in the game. From pile drivers to five-star fights, we're breaking it down every night. Nail down. Whoa, Roundtable, let it roll. Pedigree running through your soul. Clap your hands, stomp the ground, turn it up, we're ringside bound. Whoa, hear that sound. Wrestling pedigree, we're going round.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wrestling Roundtable here on Wrestling Pedigree. I am your host, the host with the most. I am Jeff Chadwick. Thank you for joining us. This is episode number 5, and we've got a huge show planned for you tonight. But first, we are going to go around the table and introduce everybody. So, starting to my right, he is the owner, the creator of Wrestling Pedigree. He is the one and the only Matty Hawkins. How you doing, man?
So glad to be here once again. Talked some amazing wrestling this past week, and it's going to be a really good episode tonight.
It is. It is. I'm going to make you guys get your thinking caps on. So, I mean, I'm going to test you. You already know, Matty. I've done it to you millions of times. But tonight, I get to really make this guy think. He is one of the, in my opinion, one of the top guys when it comes to covering wrestling, no DQ, and a plethora of other things. He's been on the roundtable before, and he's back. It has been a long time, Mr. Noah Foster. How you doing, my friend?
It's been a long time. I fell horse my predictions between No DQ, the Super Reliable Studios, Papagino's, Major Push Wrestling, and so many other forms you mentioned. And it's good to be back here on the roundtable once again to see its evolution. But yes, folks, it is I, the Superman of the Simple Brand, the voice of SRS, forever great for all things professional wrestling. Damn it. And it's good to be back here on Jeff Chadwick's platform once more. So I'm looking forward to what you have ahead, as I've been doing streams pretty much every night since Tuesday. So this should be a lot of fun.
Yes, yeah. I remember you told me before we went live that you're very tired. So I'm hoping your thinking cap gets you thinking tonight. But if not, we can always throw up a little bit of yeah or Joe Hendry, but do not, and I repeat, do not make me curse you. All right, here we go. We're gonna start right off WWE. Maddie will give you the first question. Noah, you'll see how this goes after we get this done here for the first question.
All right.
We're going to be talking about the rise of Oba Femi, Maddie. This past week on Raw, the monstrous Oba Femi once again made a powerful statement at the expense of Brock Lesnar. Following an in-ring segment with Lesnar, Femi appeared and for the second time in recent weeks completely leveled the Beast Incarnate, leaving him laying in the middle of the ring. And then clotheslined him over the top rope. Can't forget that. This continued assault positions the physically imposing Femi as a credible and dangerous new threat on the main roster, doing what very few have ever been able to do, and that is dominate Brock Lesnar. My question for you, with a match between Oba and Brock at WrestleMania, what does a victory over the Beast on a major stage do for Femi's career, and what would a loss do to the momentum that he's building?
I don't think if he was to lose at WrestleMania, I think it'd be the worst decision they made, because I think this year is going to be Brock's last year. So for him to put over someone, especially with that caliber of Oba Femi, will be amazing. However, I don't think it will hurt him, because the Rocket is so much fueling for Oba that a loss won't matter. But however, a win will rubber stamp him as one of the future world champions, the future, not face of the brand, but he will be one of those big dudes where you have to go, he will be there in the main event of WrestleMania for the next 10 to 15 years.
Right.
That's if he wins. If it's not, it'll just be delayed by a couple months. But the momentum will still be there because he is over with the fans. If you did see it on Monday, my God, the fans from old and young were doing what Noah was just doing with that
Walk.
the walk. Hell, even the UFC champion, the Nigerian one, he did it. He came when he was doing his walking. He did the walk into the octagon. It is unbelievable how over and media scrutinized, like not scrutinized, but like just over is that it's unbelievable. They found someone, they found this little diamond, and they just got to put the rocket on him, and they are.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Raw needs a giant because, we've lost Omos. He's no longer there. We've lost Braun Strowman. He's no longer there. So it's like, who can we get to be the next monster? Oba Femi is definitely right up there on the top of the list, especially when it comes to someone to face Brock. I called this about a month ago. That I said the only person, if they have Brock at WrestleMania, the only person I could think of that would make an excellent match for Brock was Oba Femi. And here it is. It's like I wrote the script, It's like I wrote it. Noah would be proud. All right. So speaking of Noah, this one's for you. The Bloodlines unraveling mind games. Okay. So here's the situation. The highly anticipated face-to-face between Roman Reigns and CM Punk on Raw quickly developed into chaos, especially when he talked about, all the oil and jizz in his hair. After a heated verbal exchange, Jey Uso hit the ring. Together with Reigns, they subjected Punk to a vicious beatdown that culminated with Jey Uso leaping from the top rope to send Punk crashing to the table. Bloodline stood tall, believing they sent a decisive message of dominance ahead of WrestleMania. But as they looked on, the camera focused on a battered Punk who, lying in the wreckage of the table, slowly began to smile, turning the intended moment of intimidation into a deeply unsettling one. Here is the question. The Bloodline wanted to show force, but Punk was left smiling. Is this a sign that their usual intimidation tactics won't work on Punk, and that he is already one step ahead in the psychological war heading into their WrestleMania match?
I would say absolutely. We are dealing with a man that really defines himself being Mr. Controversial. One side of the culture loves him, one side of the culture hates him. What CM Punk illustrated about assistance needed for one party versus the other in laughing off potential injury after, and let's just call it what it is, an enraged tribal chief instigated by, let's also keep in mind, his brother, because at the end of the day, family is thicker than water itself. Bloodline, blood for life. It's one of those things right now where CM Punk is literally undermining Roman Reigns' pedigree of being the guy, whether on his own or whether he just can't do it alone. The key word from that promo was help. And the only one that needed help at the end of that segment was Roman Reigns to show us how much that we should acknowledge him still as our tribal chief. But how much does Roman Reigns still believe in himself, I think, is the key. And I think Roman Reigns giving into that weakness, I think, in that physical assault, instigated by his own brother, shows a lot here. Because, yeah, CM Punk may have pulled the first shot, but Roman Reigns, he's the one that's fired this barrage salvo. Now, we know that both men are going to be involved in Madison Square Garden, the pinnacle of sports entertainment, the world that literally is owned by the Onai family. And now CM Punk might want to make it his house. What has become truly a match of psychological warfare that comes down to upsmanship and guardsmanship has really reached an apex. And I'm not sure necessarily if this is a mountain that Roman Reigns can climb up to the point that CM Punk has created. But at the end of the day, Roman Reigns has been the guy there all the time, whether you wanted him there or not. CM Punk is the guy there now, whether you want him there in that spot or not. But the mind games definitely go in favor of the World Heavyweight Champion after Monday night. So I'm curious how Roman Reigns responds to this in what he believed was probably a message on behalf of the family versus a statement on behalf of the challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship himself.
Right. Yeah. I was when I was watching that and that picture of the image of Punk just smiling. He's in pain. Obviously, you can see it, but he's smiling. That was creepy as hell. Like, I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I had so many things running through my mind, and Punk is in Roman's head. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, if you want to get your opponent off balance, if you want to get him uh, unfocused, that's the best way to do it is go and get inside of their head. And Punk has obviously done that. Has Roman gotten inside of Punk's head? I believe so. I believe they've gotten inside of each other's heads. But who got in more is the question. I think we might find out something along those lines about that on Monday night.
But Punk, though, he's not just in Roman's head, he's in Jay's head also.
Jay's head, exactly. Yeah. He's in the bloodline's head. And if you literally infest yourself in the bloodline, you already have the winning side of this battle of guerrilla mental warfare. To be a masochist in this business is one thing. To be somebody that goes Hannibal Lecter on your opponent is a whole nother. And no one does it better right now than CM Punk.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's the king of the pipe bomb. Oh, geez. All right. Here's the third question. This is going to go to both of you. Whoever wants to take it first, go for it. This is the controversial U.S. title picture. All right. On SmackDown, United States champion Carmelo Hayes held an open challenge that was answered by Sami Zayn. During the match, Trick Williams made his presence known at ringside, and his appearance ultimately led to a distraction that cost Hayes the championship. In a shocking turn of events, it was later announced that Williams, not the man who just lost the title, would be the one to challenge Sami Zayn for the belt at WrestleMania, leaving a furious Carmelo Hayes with nothing. Question. Do you believe Trick Williams' actions were a calculated move to steal Carmelo Hayes' spotlight yet again, or a colossal blunder that he's now benefiting from?
I'll let you go, Noah, first.
I definitely think more of the latter. At the end of the day, Trick Mello game is bound to what NXT was when the Black and Gold died a sad death. But nonetheless, you can clearly see over the last few weeks, since Trick Willie arrived on the SmackDown scene, there's been one person at the end of his mental warfare, and that is Sami Zayn. It was clearly a shot meant for Sami, but at the right time, Carmelo Hayes ate the bullet. Now, whether or not Carmelo Hayes wants Trick Williams to explain himself or Carmelo Hayes goes after contractually obligated rematch clause, something tells me this is not going to be one-on-one. I look back at last year with the Intercontinental Championship turn, of course, to a fair four-way based on what developed out of Penta, San Miguel, and Braun Breaker. That instigated, of course, the Judgment Day, and Dom and Finn both wanted the glory. It would not surprise me looking at the pedigree of the United States Championship being surrounded by Ilya Dragunov, Sami Zayn, Trick Williams, and Carmelo Hayes, that this becomes a fatal four-way, and I think all four men are justified in this. Let's not forget, when Sami Zayn, of course, took the title from Ilya Dragunov, he continued the open challenge. And, of course, Carmelo Hayes, he's the guy that capitalized on it. Now we literally have gone full circle to the point that Sami Zayn has regained that championship back. Not necessarily from the man that took it from him, but you still have to consider how important it was for Sami Zayn to get to WrestleMania. And the only way he was going to do that was getting the championship. What Trick Williams did after knowing he had a guaranteed opportunity is he basically set up his opponent where if Sami didn't win, I think honestly it could have been Trick Mello game at WrestleMania. I was actually leaning towards that. So if this doesn't turn into a fair four-way, I will be surprised. But all Trick Williams did was basically change the scripts before Triple H did.
That's true. That is actually true. If they're always advertising at the moment one-on-one for day 2 of WrestleMania, I feel really bad for Carmelo because he's had one hell of a year, and he's made that US title mean something more. With I think he's had like 15 defenses.
Yeah,
it's with the live ones also. But
okay, fair enough. The house shows, I'll give you that. Go ahead.
I went to one of them. I'm still counting it.
Fair enough. I'm not going to argue that. Fair enough.
But for someone his caliber to leave off, they're probably going to leave him off the show. It's so bad because he deserves to have that WrestleMania memory. He won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal last year. Yep. He went on to great things this past year, like amazing matches with Dragunov and Ray Phoenix. But to take it away from it reminds me of the Chad Gable, Sammy situation against Gunther a couple years ago for WrestleMania 40. It has that similarity where they didn't add anyone in.
Right.
It's just a one-on-one. I feel it's going to be the same again. They cannot, after this, make Sammy an underdog story again because he keeps winning these kind of matches but never win the big one. They cannot do that anymore. They should make him a heel after WrestleMania and make him go after that world title and then win it. But they cannot do this underdog BS anymore because even the fans are booing it. I mean, if you look on YouTube, they've had, I think, 8.6 thousand thumbs down just because of this. That's how bad rest of WWE fans are not happy with Carmelo not being on the card. Trick Williams, yeah, the guy's ever like the Lever Stepper Peppers. I mean, come on. But the guy is money, and with that, you need more money. You need Melo because Melo don't miss.
Damn right. And again, I think Camille Hayes is far more justified on being on the WrestleMania marquee than Sami Zayn has been since literally losing out this year. He lost to Drew McIntyre's Royal Rumble. He lost out his chance on being involved in the Elimination Chamber. And basically, he took advantage of an opportunity, and Trick Williams caused the blunder. He's entering Jey Uso territory of negative feedback. The only difference is he doesn't have a proverbial glass ceiling of comfort to go back to in midlife crisis mode like Jay did when he went after the pizza plate tag team championships once again with his brother. And right now, those titles are absolutely irrelevant as well. But at least Jay has his comfort zone. Sammy right now, he at least has life support to be on the WrestleMania marquee. But if he doesn't become a desperate heel after this, what do we do? What are we doing? And Trick Williams right now, you don't know whether to boo this man or love this guy because he is over like Rover. So having Camille Hayes as a buffer, hopefully not a fall person. And if you want to add Ilya to the equation, because Ilya doesn't have necessarily a direction, Ilya and Hayes defined that United States Championship to your point, not just during Hayes' run, but hello, Ilya Dragunov was the previous champion. Again, like I said, those three men are more justified for WrestleMania than Sami Zayn has been.
Totally agree.
When was the last time the U.S. Championship was defended at WrestleMania in a fatal four-way?
Never.
Oh, good Lord. Ooh.
It was never in a fatal four-way.
I don't think it's ever been in a fatal four-way to my knowledge.
Personal opinion, it's about time. I like that idea. And what better place to have first than at WrestleMania?
I mean, last year with the first ever fatal four-way. Why not?
Exactly. I am all for that. I love that idea. We should be doing the booking and the storylines for WWE because we know what we're doing.
I don't want that headache. I don't want that headache. I got enough headaches as it is.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, you could do with Logan Paul. I'm not.
All right, we're gonna go to NXT. We're gonna start this off with Noah. We're talking Johnny Wrestling is back for gold. This week's NXT main event was a gauntlet eliminator match to determine the number one contender for the North American Championship at the upcoming Stand and Deliver event. The match saw a parade of NXT top stars, but the biggest surprise was saved for last. The final entrant was revealed to be none other than NXT Triple Crown champion Johnny Gargano, making his stunning return to the brand. Johnny Wrestling entered the fray, if you want to call it that, and fought, if you want to call it that, his way to the end, last eliminating the formidable Shiloh Hill to punch his ticket to Stand and Deliver, and a shot at the title he helped make famous. My question, Johnny Gargano is a beloved NXT icon, but his return was to win a contendership match. Do you think this is the best use of a returning legend, or should he have been brought back for a different kind of storyline?
Who's that to?
That would be to Noah.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, folks, you don't know by now, you'll know after this. Not my NXT! What the yin yang are we freaking doing here? Where NXT is fighting for scraps to be relevant now that they have been reduced to the free platform of YouTube. I'm just saying. For their grandest stage, not even part of WrestleMania Week. Are you fracking kidding me? With all due respect to Miles Bourne, who is still very much a rising talent in this crop of new and wrestling, whatever hybrid level type of athletes in this generation of NXT truly being developmental brand T-Roo, Raw, SmackDown, Fusion, Hot, Dragon Ball Z, before it used to be known as the standard of attitude, aggression, and passion at the pick of the business with the black and gold with Johnny Takeover, Johnny Wrestling, one of the founding fathers at the forefront. And then you have Johnny Depression, who literally spent most of his time on the mat doing his best plank impression before Candice LeRae picked him up, pushed him down in the cover. Again, a midlife crisis much? I don't know what we're doing, but I pray that this does bring a return somehow for one night only for what truly was Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Takeover. For Miles Bourne to build a certain level of credibility to himself as a champion and to the NXT North American Championship, which you got a long way to go, kid, after Ethan Page and Oba Femi. Good luck, by the way. I think it really would raise Miles Bourne stock. For me, I don't necessarily think we needed this, let alone NXT needed this. It's one of those things when you have a marquee show, you pull out all the stops. Since they don't have over 40 part-timers that you wonder why they're still on the marquee spots of the biggest event versus creating new stars and relying on the new generation, I am happy to see a recognized name that's still somewhat youthful in Giant Gargano, but I'm not happy to see him this way. I really hope they pick things up here where Miles Bourne motivates him and Giant Gargano motivates him back when it comes to what it means to represent those three letters, even in this Temu format. I don't necessarily think this was the best execution, but I'm going to hold out for a good go-home promo and angle that doesn't involve Candice LeRae and somehow Gargano doing it the Gargano way. Remember that era, folks?
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully this could be the show stealer of the weekend. But if you literally brought John Gargano in a gauntlet to not bring the crowd up to their feet, and he just planks in sorrow where Ciampa's doing better at AEW and having the time of his life, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? There's execution, there's moments, and then there's momentum. Welcome to the TKO era of WWE, where we are not about the matches or the momentum. We are about the moments, and that was a fleeting moment. I hope for Giant Gargano's sake especially, it lasts longer than NXT, where hopefully he can stand and deliver. I would have done this much differently.
Yeah, I think that, because of since the departure of Ciampa, they have played it off as though Gargano is he just lays there motionless, like he's just like out of it, completely out of it. And this is, as I said, this has started since Ciampa has left. This, I think, because Gargano to me should be on some sort of card, whether it be WrestleMania, whether it be Stand and Deliver, I don't care. His talent needs to be on a card. I think that this was a great call to put him in this gauntlet, because what kind of storyline is he in right now? Other than the fact that this guy stole $20. So, I mean, that's about it. That is about it. We have nothing for Johnny Gargano on paper of what to do with him. This, I think, was a great call. I think this will perk him back up, being back home, so to speak, going for a title that he is well familiar with. I think Bourne versus Gargano is going to be a killer title match. I cannot wait for this to happen. But if this picks Gargano up, I am all for it, because I don't like seeing him just laying there motionless and staring off into space. That's not the Gargano. That's not the Gargano we know.
No.
So I'm glad that they've got some sort of storyline for him, and I hope they run with this, because if this works out, it will be perfect. I think this would be a great way to have a great match with two excellent competitors.
6 days. We'll see if your point holds up or if my point, which sounds far more feasible considering what John Gargano is lately as a utility to WWE. We'll see what happens come Saturday.
Exactly. All right. Maddie, the bitter end for Sol Ruka and Zarya.
Another tag team breaking up.
I know, right? Go figure.
It's like WWE's done this before. 15 times over. Are you surprised, everybody?
Not at all. Deeply personal and increasingly bitter rivalry between former best friends Sol Ruka and Zarya reached a new boiling point this week. In a tense in-ring confrontation, the two stood face-to-face, traded vicious accusations. Ruka accused Zarya of letting jealousy and ambition poison their friendship, while Zarya fired back, claiming Sol was selfish, held her back. The war of words made it clear there was no path to reconciliation, leading Zarya to officially lay down the challenge for a one-on-one match at Stand and Deliver to finally settle the score. Here's your question. With the lines blurred as to who the good guy and bad guy are in this feud, whose side are you on, and who do you think will come out on top at Stand and Deliver?
I'm the victim. Good grief.
Literally, that was so. We had the watch it on. Me and Ross did the watch it on for NST, and while we were listening to that, you could literally hear me say, "This sounds like a pity party."
Thank you.
It did. It did.
It's kind of like watching The View, but less pity. But
Jeez.
it is the.
Can I get a yeah?
Oh wow.
I broke him already.
Yeah, it's all right.
That was brilliant.
So with this one, I think they're both heels, they're both faces. I'm on more other side of Sarah because I could see more of her point than Saruka was like. Because no offense, they're putting the rocket behind Saruka in NXT. They're gonna make her face JC Jane after Stand and Deliver for Great American Bash or whatever is next after for NXT. So they're gonna put them against each other. However, what can they do with Zara after this? Because she is so talented, and I'm more pissed off than they give her the chances because I feel she's on the same par as Saruka. She could dominate. She could storytell. She could do anything. She could promo. She's got one of the badass entrances. They were really good tag team, but it's lasted over a year.
Yeah,
and
longer than I thought.
Yeah, and there was times where they were going to split up, and then they didn't. And then it's kind of like the Randy Orton thing, where we thought he would get healed, and then when he does heal, everyone's cheering anyway. But this one is kind of, well, we knew this was coming, but we're bored of it already because the fans weren't interested in that promo.
No.
And then this is the thing they had to do is when NXT was live this past weekend, those two fought backstage and they put on social media.
Yeah.
It's just the storyline. Usually NXT are spot on with some of the storylines, especially with the women. This one is falling as flat as, well, Justin's hairline.
Yeah, good point. I think that this is the time for Zarya to shine. I think that Sol Ruca has already shined. So after this match, I could see Sol going up to the main roster. Leave Zarya in NXT, have her go out for that NXT Women's Championship, because Sol Ruca's already been a champion. She's already been a champion twice since being in there, the Women's North American Champion and the Speed Champion. So she's already held a belt, where Zarya has not. Put Sol up on main roster, give Zarya this spotlight in NXT, and I think this is the perfect way to start that. And I think they're finally getting that ball rolling, a ball that should have been rolling months ago.
6 months ago.
Yeah, and they're finally getting it done. True, it's leading up to the Super Bowl of NXT, Stand and Deliver, but it could have been started much before now, but I see why they were waiting, so to speak. So,
but this is 2 weeks before the program.
Yeah.
And the 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, they done the split. They could have done this a month ago and make a better build up, and then them having a promo 2 weeks before and have a pity party.
Feels like it's rushed.
Oh, major
shocking!
Yeah, absolutely rushed.
And that is the name of this WrestleMania season. Rush
Hour.
Yeah, Rush Hour. Hey, I like that. Hey, I think MWL had a pay-per-view called Rush Hour, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, just saying. Okay, this is for both of you. We had, I think we had Noah go first on the last one, so Maddie, we'll have you go first on this one. Kalani Jordan's new attitude. A marquee matchup saw two former NXT Women's North American champions collide as Kalani Jordan took on Thea Hale. While a competitive match was expected, Jordan showed a new level of aggression and dominated Hale from bell to bell, securing a device victory with her spectacular one-of-a-kind moonsault. Her statement wasn't finished, however, as Jordan looked to inflict more punishment after the match. She was cut off by the arrival of Jada Parker, Miss Parker, suggesting that Jordan's new ruthless attitude has already put a target on her back. Here's the question for both of you. After such a decisive win and a show of aggression, is Kalani Jordan positioning herself as the next major threat in this NXT women's division?
I think so. I think she has all the tools that she could do to be one of the biggest names in NXT. This is a woman that is a former TNA world champion.
Yep.
I don't think they will put the belt on her if they didn't have the confidence in her. She finally has the confidence in herself. I feel this new attitude is really, really good, and I feel that she will be. I think it's kind of hard because they put her up against someone that is more loudmouth than her, more over than her, but less talented than her. If that makes sense with wrestling skills.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a catch-22 when they put these two together against each other. However, Thea Hill deserves better than she had on NXT.
Yes.
Because she's talented and her talents and she's very popular with fans. She shouldn't have got that ass whooping. They should have just kind of got someone from Evolve to take that beating and not someone like Thea Hill, who recently on social media bashed everybody who said negative things about her North America win, which wasn't even her fault. So they kind of screwed themselves there a little bit. NXT and WWE storylines there.
All right, go ahead, Noah.
I mean, he's got a pretty spot on analysis right there. First off, Thea Hill, you want to talk about the definition of an underdog that should be an underdog story. She is the underdog of this crop of generation of WWE women talent associated with NXT that wasn't black and gold. Nothing but love for her, and I want to see her continue to grow, flourish, develop. But after Tuesday, she might as well be the whipping girl of the roster at this point, because that was ridiculous. As far as Kalani Jordan, she has been a standout. It surprises me that she has been called up. To your point, former Knockouts World Champion. She, of course, had her fallout feuds with Lola Vice. Not forget, she took her to the underground with her gymnastics background. Pretty competitive bout, actually, at Vengeance Day. I gotta get credit where credit's due, even though she still got knocked the F out. The other thing also is she is the inaugural NXT North American champion. She came in as this spunky, spontaneous baby face and then lost her way when she went to TNA for the opportunity, represented that brand, and then became an outcast on both sides when she wanted to prove exactly why her is her. And then she lost the title, and now she's kind of been stuck in limbo. This right here feels like, what do you do after you lose after a big marquee? You remind people exactly who you are. You remind yourself who you are. And Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, that's the definition of attitude in that full NXT Women's Division. And with the idea of Soruka and Zarya going their separate ways, one heading on to the other roster, the other one maybe finding themselves in NXT, much like Rhea Ripley, by the way, who is a huge influence, by the way, for Zarya, the former Delta, to go to WWE. Yep. NXT right now really needs to put more focus in the internal development of the long tenured talent of NXT towards contention of the NXT, not Women's North American at this point, Women's Championship. The North American title right now surrounded by Tatum Paxley and Blake Monroe, and that makes all the sense in the world considering Blake previously held that title and the psychological warfare we're going to get with the woman from hell. But as far as Jessie Jane, you need some sort of crutch to her heel faction. If Kalani Jordan is going to be that heel that prevents the likes of Jada Parker going after her, who's become, as you said, a favorite, maybe that means Jada Parker could finally get forward to that. Kendall Gray, who has been the standout for the last several months of women in WWE, not on the main roster. She has a chance to challenge again at their grandest show. Lola Vice, many people thought should have already held the title. You need to build stronger baby faces as the foundation for the NXT women's division. And it feels like people already soured on Soruka. So yeah, she's already got like one foot out the door. So what Kalani Jordan demonstrated is, I'm going to do this my way and remind y'all exactly why I am one of a kind, whether you like it or not. And Jada Parker being a foil to that, that's a great way to build both those women back up that are kind of in a recovery mode.
Yeah.
I agree with Noah on that front. Just focusing on like the JC Jane title picture, they're getting like the longevity women deserves more focus on. Recently, WWE has signed Next Generation Malenko. There's rumors that they're signing Nikki Blackheart, and they got such great talent on Evolve. They need to do more with the Lola Vices, like the Keanu Jordans, like I hate to probably say this, but the Lions, Nikki Dakota Lion and stuff like that. They need to focus more on them because they're the backbone, and without them, I don't see NXT women's division being that good in the next few years. Because Kendall Gray will go to the main roster straight away.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh, absolutely. I think, I mean, I completely agree with you guys as far as these two are concerned. This is kind of like a for me. This kind of with Jordan and Hale, as much as I love Thea Hale, absolutely love her. This is kind of like for me. But going on to the whole JC Jane thing and the women's NXT title, there's 2 weeks between Stand and Deliver and WrestleMania. I would like to see the NXT Women's Championship defended at WrestleMania, like we saw before with Ripley and Charlotte. I would like to see a match with JC Jane versus whether it be Jada Parker, whether it be Lola Vice. I would love to see a match and have the NXT championships, the main two, on WrestleMania. I think that the NXT title should be defended there, and I think that the NXT women's title should be defended there. With 2 weeks separating the two events, there is no reason why they couldn't go with this idea. Because, I mean, they've got plenty of spots on this card. They always have about the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and that's usually on SmackDown.
As it should be.
Right? They'll have a couple tag team. They'll probably have the tag team title match or something on SmackDown. And everyone's like, well, I don't know why it's not part of WrestleMania. It technically is. If you stop and think about it, it's WrestleMania weekend. So they're going to have title matches on Friday. They're going to have them throughout the weekend. They're even going to have them Monday night on Raw. All 4 nights are all considered WrestleMania weekend. I personally would love to see the NXT shine at WrestleMania. And looking back, as I mentioned, Rhea and Charlotte, one hell of a match for the NXT Women's Championship. The only time the championship in NXT has been defended, the Women's Championship has been defended at WrestleMania. It's been a few years. Do it again. It's not like you're doing it every year. You have a golden opportunity with 2 weeks separating. Go with it. I think that this is something they could easily do. Whether or not they're going to is another question. But
I think the only way they could do that if they have a star caliber, which was Rhea Ripley at the time, and try for no disrespect to JC Jane, she ain't got that at the moment.
No, I mean, she had a Royal Rumble shine. She was very good. She had a good dinner. She was not part of the final 3, though. And when Jessie Jane loses that title, we know that her and Fatal Influence will probably be a package. And ironically enough, when she won the championship in the WTF moment of the last year, lest we forget, it was just on standard NXT, to your point, shortly after Stand Deliver. If WrestleMania Weekend is truly about all your 3 brands now, because you truly turn NXT into your brand, not its own standalone brand, again, black and gold, rip, then yeah, I say Tuesday night, if you can't do a WrestleMania, do it the literal NXT after WrestleMania is over to truly show the reset across your entire landscape. But I definitely do agree with your analysis. I do think, in a way, Joe Kennedy and Jessie Jane have both built themselves and these championships up to that pedigree where if you're going to make NXT feel that important, especially when it's been relegated to YouTube now for free, this is the way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to go on to AEW. I can't remember who gets the first question on this one. I think it's Maddie.
It is Maddie.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, wait. It's me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
No.
You started. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this one goes to Noah then. The
let's go for
the devil versus the god at Dynasty.
Noah.
What a perfect question for you, right, Noah? All right, here we go. AEW Dynamite kicked off with a high-stakes main event quality match between Omega and Strickland to determine the number one contender to the AEW World Title. And mind you, the EVP thing was up for grabs too, by the way. The nearly 20-minute classic saw both men pull out all stops, but in the end, Omega hit the one-winged angel to secure the victory. Later in the night, Omega came to the ring to address his win, only to be confronted by the reigning and defending world champion, MJF. Yeah. The two verbally sparred, with Omega positioning himself as the god of professional wrestling, coming to reclaim his throne, and MJF mocking him as a relic. The confrontation made it official. Main event for the AEW Dynasty pay-per-view will be MJF versus Kenny Omega for the world title. Here's your question. Kenny Omega and MJF are two of the biggest stars right now in AEW. Is this the right time and the right event for this dream match to finally happen? Or should it have been saved for a bigger stage? Owen.
Okay. First and foremost, I love AEW. Secondly, MJF is doing more with his world championship than other companies are with their world championship when it comes to defining the next generation that could literally lead a company or a challenge for it, and has the deepest pool of story and challengers to come. Kenny Omega in the pipeline, this is the perfect moment because we're in Canada, eh? Kenny Omega from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Of course, Dynamite's in Winnipeg. And of course, Dynasty will be in Vancouver, not too far away. And we're visiting this classic with a whole new identity for both men, no longer dealing with diverticulitis and dealing with a man that's looking at the quality of his run versus the quantity of days that he held it. By the way, you can go back and rewatch their first classic in October 2023 on Collision, because that's one of my favorite matches on my AEW playlist. Yes, this is the perfect time. What I love about this is also the dynamics of humility versus egomaniacal. He truly believes he is on the devil and no one is on his level. Why people have christened Kenny Omega as a god of pro wrestling, he never called himself that. But looking at these two deities of wrestling, maybe a god can defeat a devil. This is the perfect, simple, how's a defining word for you? Simple setup in story, telling the competition of these two men and the importance of the AEW World Championship and the timing. When Kenny Omega came on that Titantron in January at the start of the new year, when MJF won his world back, I knew this had to be a marquee match. When Dynasty was announced for Canada, I felt that had to be the moment, because I'm looking at other people down the line, whether it's Andrade, Ospreay, Fletcher, who's now put his name in the equation, Darby Allin, where if anyone has more history than Cameron on Page and MJF, it's Darby Allin and MJF, and that still doesn't cover everybody, including other names he's already faced for the title. This was the perfect moment to run back what could be the last time we see Kenny Omega challenge for the AEW World Championship. Now, I'm not going to say it's a bygone conclusion, but again, the depth of development in either man holding the gold at this point is so much more deeper than when they were just facing off for the first time ever on TV to define who would be the longest champion. I couldn't figure this being a better moment. And the fact that it was defined by power and glory for the maniacal Swerve Strickland, who's regaining his old identity back. By the way, that one-on-one match has not yet been visited either by these two men that made sure the independents. And Swerve defined his dynasty for the first time at this very pay-per-view. Do not count out the most dangerous man enacting his wrath during or after this. Kenny Omega was the perfect opponent set up for this AEW pay-per-view, and I can't wait for it. You couldn't have picked a better time or a better opponent based on the circumstances surrounding the championship and the outlook of the entire AEW ecosystem.
Right. Now, when you said that it's in his home country, basically his hometown, pretty much. Everybody's like, oh, hometown boy is going to win it. Not necessarily. Just because they're in the home, yeah, it's not the case. If that was the case, then Sami Zayn should have won Elimination Chamber when it was in Montreal, Quebec. He didn't. Yeah. He didn't win that night. So the whole, he's going to win because he's in his. No, a lot of people go by that mantra, and I hate it because it's not always true. Okay, so Maddie, Ospreay's challenge and Moxley's acceptance. Will Ospreay came out to this massive ovation and delivered a fiery promo declaring that since arriving in AEW, he has felt a target on his back from one man in particular. He claimed that this man represents everything he's fighting against, and that before he can truly feel at home, mind you, he's been there since 2019, he needs to exorcise the demon. Ospreay then laid down the challenge for what he called a big fat grudge match at AEW Dynasty against Jon Moxley. Later that night, after Moxley secured a submission victory over I can't pronounce Hechicero, or I'm horrible with this name. Okay, phew. He grabbed the microphone, acknowledged Ospreay's challenge, and accepted. This sets the stage for the first time ever dream match between the two of the most intense and celebrated wrestlers on the planet. Here is your question. Will Ospreay is known for his high-flying style, while Jon Moxley is famous for his hardcore, brawling approach. How will these two drastically different styles clash? And who do you think this type of match favors?
Banger alert.
Accurate.
This match will be a banger of all bangers. This will be in just April, and it already will be a match of the year. I'm impartial because I'm a massive Will Ospreay fan and because I'm British and I want him to win the AEW World Title at Owen, where I'm going to be in there.
I'd say you and Lucy have a hell of a show and a hot take. Good luck to you both.
Yeah.
It's going to be so. It's one of the matches I wanted since Ospreay joined AEW, and I love this version of Jon Moxley. I don't know who's the face or heel, but it just makes it so perfect, the storyline and the redemption for Ospreay. I cannot wait to the styles. I don't think the styles will just complement each other anyway, because these two are the most smartest workers, where they will make each other look like $1 million.
Adaptation is the definition of both these men's longevity of growth and development in professional wrestling, damn it. And this will be their third ever singles encounter. And you want to talk about the demon, Will Ospreay has never beaten Jon Moxley. Moxley is 2-0 against him.
And I could see that streak breaking.
Oh, really?
I could see Ospreay. They're going to build. This is what I think is going to happen. I think MJF is going to go over Omega, and they're going to build MJ to be the biggest prick until Owen. So he's going to get more heat than anyone, and then they're going to build Ospreay to be the biggest baby face to get over on all the hills that done him wrong, and then at Owen, that build up is going to be so hot that they'll outdraw WrestleMania both days.
Wow.
That's a hot take.
That is the prediction. Hey, we could save this video even more, and I will guarantee you this build up is brilliant. I said this on the Ross Report last night. AEW storylines and their content is superior to WWE for the last couple of months, and that is because they got more consistent storylines and more development wrestlers.
Right.
I mean, just Kevin Knight for me, like just watching him has been amazing. So with that, is Ospreay.
Man,
All about the Essex boys.
that's going to be a killer match. I for one am looking forward. I might actually buy Dynasty just strictly for that match. I am actually. This is one that I am really looking forward to. I mean, me being an Ospreay fan, me being a Moxley fan, although in some cases I'm a Moxley fan, it's just in other cases I'm not. But I'm still an Ambrose fan.
That match is worth $50 for you.
Yes.
Again, AEW, quantity and quality, you still get more than enough bang for your buck whenever you buy their pay-per-views, period.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But we're gonna go back. We're gonna get back on this one, Maddie, to see what Uncle Dave thinks. If he thinks this match rates better than WrestleMania as a whole. It's gonna be interesting.
The money. I think they'll have the biggest money.
Oh yeah,
they'll outdraw
the gate,
WrestleMania,
absolutely.
The gate, and everything like that. They'll literally and that's combined 2 days.
Right.
I think they'll do it.
That's a bold take. I
It is.
appreciate the optimism as someone that, again, just looks at the business as a whole. But again, I love what AEW is doing versus the Fed, if I'm being perfectly honest. Much to the points that you're talking about with the rejuvenation and the outlook of their roster. But nonetheless, it's just an incredible time to be a wrestling fan right now. There's so much to be excited for. Hell, we're talking about the two biggest shows of April, respectfully, from the two biggest companies. And that doesn't even cover everything across the wrestling landscape.
We're spoiled.
Damn right.
We are.
More than
We
ever.
are.
And I love it.
All right, this is for the both of you. Noah, you can start on this one, and then Maddie come in with this. Thekla retains in a cross-promotional battle in a highly anticipated AEW Women's World Championship match. The champion Thekla defended her title against Stardom's Mina Shirakawa. The match was a hard-hitting affair that showcased the challenger's strong style and the champion's technical prowess. Despite a valiant effort from Shirakawa that had the crowd believing a title change was possible, Thekla managed to counter a late rally and secure the victory, successfully retaining her championship and keeping the title within both AEW and the Don Callis family. Here's the question. Thekla retained her title, but she's also a member of the villainous Callis family. Yeah. You didn't know that?
Are you sure you're looking at your notes, right? Because
I'm
last time I
looking right
checked,
at
the
them.
Triangle Man is their own standalone thing. Don Callis has no women in his family, and I think that's by
Well,
design.
Not officially, but
Okay.
not officially in quotes, but you can tell that it's probably
He's probably
going to
making moves. I see what
Exactly,
you mean.
okay.
Continue.
Does her association with the group, okay, because she's had associations with the group, does it help her or hurt her as the champion of the women's division?
I'll let Noah go on this one.
You can't argue outside Paul Heyman how much of an influencer Don Callis has been when it comes to pushing forward talent and professional wrestlers of the highest pedigree in this business for more than just the moments, but the championship accomplishments. Whether it was Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, Kenobi Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, Kazuchika Okada, Thekla has all the tools to succeed on her own and help develop and grow two AEW originals that feel all like sisters versus partners or accomplices. I remember what Sky Blue talked about, where she wants to become one of the faces of AEW, put this brand on her back. And Julia Hart talked about how with the Triangle of Madness, I have my sisters always with me. It's not about just accompanying somebody like Brody King, with all due respect. I think it only would further encourage Thecla's Madness, who has taken this in less than a year like a fish to water incredibly. As far as Mina taking this to Stardom, I could have seen that, but also these are both former Stardom competitors. A little history for you. They used to be part of the same faction, Donna Del Mundo, women who play in the world. They used to be the best of friends, and they had a fall, of course, especially when Thekla joined Laredo Tai, who became Hate, where they went one-on-one after Thekla became the idol killer, which is why I love this callback. And I love the fact that Mina brought her strong style here, so aggressive in the name of love for Timeless Toni Storm, and that psychology by Thekla mocking Timeless Toni Storm, saying, I had nothing to do with it, but I wish I did. Everything about that match was beautiful. But as far as your question goes, I don't think necessarily she needs Don Callis' influence nor the Don Callis family, but it just further cultivates Don Callis' grip for power and control in AEW if he does have some sense of say in the direction of the AEW Women's World Championship. I gotta go and watch Collision if this is the case, because of course I know that the Brawlin' Birds, I fucking love this tag team, by the way, and Mina Shirakawa are gonna take on the Triangle Madison Trios action this Wednesday. I'll have to see if your Don Callis intuition holds up, because when it came to Don Callis family, I literally figured it was a family focused on men only, not a single woman. So that's interesting, considering I haven't watched Collision in full everything I've done. But if that's the case, based on your question, Don Callis only continues to add further influence in the importance of the AEW Women's World Championship if he's in fact Lazier.
To do with Thekla, I'm going to say nice things about her, because she has a habit of beating up people that just say bad things about her, like the past owner of Stardom.
I'm about to say, I think Don Callis wants to tread lightly with a person that's willing to punch their company's president.
And people, how long was she banned for?
About 30 days or so.
I mean, she's such a badass.
I love her.
she's such a great addition to AEW. I loved the match, and like I said, the psychology in that ring, her on the mat and just taking the piss out of Storm was unbelievable. I like this strong style of Mina. I want her to keep this
Yes.
style. I think she'll go further with this style.
Aggressive Mina is a beautiful
And
thing.
and I think if they are to go to Don Callis family, I can understand because of Sky Blue, because every hits there with pleasure. But Sky Blue, Julia Hart, and Dracula in the Don Callis family with a big name, and I'm calling this a big name with Josh Alexander gone.
Yeah.
They need someone to take that little bit, and I think these three are so badass they could do it. But Don Callis is just an asshole, and he's he's an asshole there. But fair play to him, what he's doing. For what is it, was it the Canadian
Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling?
Maple Leaf Wrestling, which they got a brand new show, TV deal.
Mayhem.
So we're gonna have more Don Callis on TVs, and he's gonna be everywhere. He's gonna be. It's basically the Bobby Heenan family, but his is better.
Right. Now, my personal opinion, because it's not official, I think personally having a woman in the Don Callis family will benefit from this, because he's never managed a woman that I know of. So even we're looking back in the past, and whether it be ECW, whether it be WWE, he's never been the forefront of a group or a manager of a group that's had a woman in it.
Yes.
That's fair.
The oddities.
No, Don Callis was never the manager of the oddities.
No, well, I mean, Goldilocks helped him to power. Let's forget in TNA, of course, but I do understand where Jeff Chadwick is coming from.
Yeah, I think having a woman in the stable would be probably, and I agree with Alexander out. Who can you get that's of championship caliber or a champion? Who can you get to even remotely, I guess you could say, replace, but it's not really replacing him. It's just, who can you get to step in? Thigla, I think, would be the perfect person, because this gives now the Don Callis family not just going down the road with men competitors, but now he can shoot off this exit and start having fights with women. And I think this would be a great opportunity. I really would love to see it personally. I think Thigla would do well in the Don Callis family. I think Don Callis would do great with managing a woman, which, as I said, we've never really seen that. So, with the 20 plus years, 30 plus years, or whatever you want to call it, of manager experience that he's had, why not start now? I mean, better late than never, right? I mean, it's just, I think it's a golden opportunity, and I think they should run with it.
If that does happen, I would just say look out for blood and guts.
Yeah.
About to say, we saw what happened when the women came into their own last year in Eat Your Heart Out WWE, the damnedest women's cage match I've probably ever seen since Wrestle Queendom. So wouldn't surprise me. And to your point, Kyle Fletcher, Sky Blue wants to become somebody that carries the W banner. She has certain history with someone who is still the TBS champion.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I do agree with Julia Hart too. I think that would be a great opportunity too for her to boost her career a little bit more than it already is. All right, we're gonna go talk TNA now in our last well, I guess you'd say last segment. But we got one more quick thing to do after this. TNA, we're gonna start off with who are we starting off with on this one?
It would be Maddie.
Maddie. Okay. The main event ends in a no contest. Been a while since we've seen a main event and a pay-per-view end in a no contest, but here we go. Main event for the TNA World title was cut short due to a legitimate frightening injury. Early in the match between champion Mike Santana and challenger Steve Macklin, the two were trading strikes when Santana connected with a super kick. Macklin was knocked out of his feet, and the referee immediately called for the bell, ruling the match a no contest. Medical staff TNA officials and even President Carlos Silva rushed to the ring to check on Macklin, who eventually was helped to the back. The unplanned ending left the crowd in stunned silence and the world title picture in an uncertain state as the show concluded. Here's your question. With the main event ending in a legitimate injury, how should TNA handle the world title situation moving forward? Should they grant Macklin an immediate rematch when he's cleared, or should a new contender be determined?
Oh, I'll give Macklin the rematch all day long. Macklin, people say this ain't ballet, and things happen like this. Not often, but sometimes. God bless Alice Lane, because thank God there was a referee that had the guts to, even though it's a main event, had the guts to say, "Hey, this guy is knocked out.
right.
He's not right. He's seeing Tweety Birds, and he needs to. We need to stop this." And also, congratulations to TNA for thinking outside the box in this thing. Yeah, send Eddie Edwards down there, so at least they see a little bit of a fight.
Right.
So they could pick on Santana. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think I'm not want to put blame on this, but I think they saw what happened in OVW and they went, yeah, we cannot do that. So with that, Macklin deserves a rematch. They'll probably make a storyline into it saying the match never finished. And then they'll probably have Eddie Edwards after that. But they 100% have to do the rematch. And any TNA fans that were moaning about this ending need to grow up.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, we're talking somebody's well-being on the line here. I mean, whether you like them, whether you hate them. I mean, it's just, their safety is number one priority. I think TNA handled this the best way they could. They stopped the match, and as you said, kudos to the referee for stepping in. And of course, I think there were some TNA wrestlers that came down as well, so that kind of checked up. So I mean, it was a very serious thing that went on here, and all prayers are with Macklin right now. Let's hope for a speedy recovery, and I would love to see a rematch because it never finished. We don't have a conclusion, so obviously a second match, I agree, should be in the picture.
It was a good storyline anyway. It was a really good storyline. It just basically pulls Brucey when his concussion is over.
Exactly. All right, Noah, the Righteous betray the Hardys. Dun dun dun. What begins an alliance ended in a shocking betrayal. Jeff Hardy teamed with Vincent of the Righteous to take on the System, Brian Myers and Cedric Alexander. Towards the climax of the match, Jeff was setting up for a signature Swanton bomb. Suddenly, the arena's video screen flickered on, showing Vincent's partner, Dutch, standing over a bloody and beaten Matt Hardy. The shocking visual distracted Jeff long enough for Cedric Alexander to recover and hit his lumbar check for the win. After the match, the Righteous stood united, having played the Hardys and revealing their sinister intentions. Here's your question. The Hardys have a long history of both teaming together and feuding with each other. Is this betrayal by the Righteous a fresh twist, possibly for Jeff Hardy's character, or is it a storyline that feels a little too familiar?
It's definitely the latter, in my opinion. Ever since the Righteous decided to go alongside the Hardys versus go against them, saying that we want this after they lost the titles to the Genesis in their only title match. And then we've seen this coexist conglomeration of these four men, as we saw very verbatim at No Surrender against the Order of Four, where look like they were having the time of their lives. Still lost, though. It was always one of those things where I look at the Righteous and the Hardys. It's the definition of what happens when an enigma meets a stranger thing. That's literally what we got here. And Charles Schultz, a great friend of ours from those studios, he's been calling it verbatim. And I can just hear him right now saying, I told you. And I was like, yeah, this was going to happen at some point. If you've seen the Hardys' history and TNA, whether they're fully loaded or broken, we've seen things settled at the Hardy compound in the broken universe. We're just literally planning a broken universe match for Ultimate Deletion at the Hardy compound between the Righteous and the Hardys. This was the foregone conclusion to the end game, I think, of this mental warfare. As soon as the Righteous and the Hardys met up in the ring, I was just waiting to see when they were going to pull the trigger. The fact of the matter that they weren't facing Brian Myers and Bear Bronson with the titles on the line already at Sacrifice versus Rebellion, the team that actually won the Fair Four, and they're going to challenge now for the titles. Right there already told me, oh, there's the angle. That's what sets it up. I'm just waiting how they execute it. Dig what I'm saying, man? So, yeah, it's a familiar story of TNA bringing back the Broken Hardys, Moonlight Sonata to be played by Rebby, and what sort of pyro madness and the dilapidated both Skills God and Senior Benjamin will be involved, of course, and Mr. Wolfgang at the Hardy compound. I'm just waiting to see this thing executed under orange sunshine or black and purple clouds. Get ready for madness, and if we're lucky, maybe Widow even shows up.
Ooh.
Oh, that would be killer.
I would love to see Willow come back just to hear Willow's way again, because you wrecked Jeff Hardy, you wrecked Jeff Hardy's brother. All bets are off.
This is when their alter egos come forward. Oh my God! And who better to do this against than
the Righteous?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this sets up a perfect, and I like the compound idea. I think this is a great angle. Like I knew something was up when he stepped up to be the tag team partner. I knew there was an angle going on here. I just didn't know which direction they were going to go with it. But yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's the third question for both of you. Knockouts, Legends return. All right, here we go. The ongoing war between the Elegance brand and the TNA Knockouts division saw the arrival of some legendary reinforcements. After a match where the Elegance brand continued to post-match assault, music hit, and former Knockouts champion Taryn Terrell made her surprising return. She did not come alone, though, as she was flanked by fellow TNA originals ODB and Mickie James. The trio Knockouts legends hit the ring, quickly cleared out the Elegance brand, standing tall and sending a clear message that they were united to restore respect to the division that they all helped build. Here is my question. With the return of Terrell to join forces with James and ODB, does this influx of celebrated veterans elevate the current Knockouts division, or does it risk overshadowing the roster's rising stars?
I don't think it does. I think you got, well, I say 2 out of 3 because I wasn't a fan of Terror, but you got ODB there, who for me is the ultimate TNA knockout.
Absolutely.
I mean,
that's putting it politely.
That is someone that's been there and fought the men and the women. And then you got Mickie James, who is just Mickie James, which a legend, like in whatever promotion she's in.
Right.
I'm not a fan of the Elegance. I know it's too. I think the thing with your question is that they're against 2 women and against a guy, but the main woman is not there with Ashley, so it's kind of, I don't know. When is Rebellion's in 2 weeks?
Right.
They have this build up for 2 weeks. After that, the Elegance are just going to be heels again. So if it was against anyone else, I feel it'll be better. But against Elegance, I think it's wasted.
Right, Noah.
Elegance brand is a waste of time in my existence, is what I know about the Knockouts roster. It's beautiful people, Timu style, and that is a shame against the beautiful people. Call it what it is. This is Man of Night. This is literally one of those, again, like I said, the problem with this TNA that is not my TNA very closely, especially with the Knockouts as of late. Don't get me started on that. They don't have the star power. They don't have that veteranship. They don't have that leadership. They don't have the marquee that's supposed to be on the marquee. They got a freaking flump from NXT holding the cornerstone of this division that rightfully never earned it and is disgracing this championship. but that's a whole different conversation for another day. It's literally to push tickets at this point. I've been in the Wolfstein Center for AEW. I've seen the history at Friday Night Dynamite with Bobby Lashley's arrival. I've seen Danhausen arrive during Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole. I've seen pay-per-view level Dynamite shows at the Wolfstein Center. Rebellion, you got a lot to hold up to, and you also got a lot to see if you can actually sell out that building more than AEW has in the past. AEW, seriously, get to the Wolfstein Center. Do a pay-per-view there, please. I know you can do it. But anyway, back to this. It's a marquee spot monkey match. That's all it is. Because the Elegance brand is not only the only female faction in the very limited roster of TNA, it's the only tag team for TNA knockouts while they have straps with no purpose anymore. You have to give the Elegance brand something, I guess, just to make sure they have a presence. No disrespect to Maggie Lee and Heather. Screw the other two. But it is what it is. I knew they were going to set up some sort of match with Mickey and Ash in some capacity ever since Mickey showed up at the Pinnacle at No Surrender. ODB showing up, boom, was just a foregone conclusion. Okay, tag team match. Terrence Terrell, who this stupid current audience don't know Jack Dillia about, you idiots there, didn't even give her the proper reaction. Hasn't been there for over a decade. Former TNA Knockouts World Champion. TNA faithful, where have you gone? I don't blame you, honestly, though, but I still hold out because I do still believe those 3 letters matter, just saying. But nonetheless, it should be a fun trios match made official for Rebellion. At the end of the day, it's the push ticket sales, and maybe, just maybe, Mickey James, ODB, and Terrence Terrell can make Heather and M and Ash matter more without the stint of the Elegance brand that drive people away from them.
You know, I have to agree with Maddie. I am not a fan of Terrell. Never have been, never will be. There's one person that would have been perfect for this. Get her out of retirement for one match. And I think that a lot of people would have liked to see this, and that would have been Awesome Kong. I think she would have been an excellent person to replace Terrell. I'm sorry, Terrell is good, but I never really could get behind her. And we haven't seen Awesome Kong since 23. You know, when the last thing that she did was she made her impact return on Impact 1000, taking part in a 10 woman knockouts tag team match.
That was so
where she won pinning Giselle Shaw. That after 3 years of not being in the ring, you know, I would have actually liked it. I think she would have got a really big pop if it would have been Awesome Kong instead of Terrell.
Is she from New Orleans, though? Because you got to remember, they went with the hometown pop, and I'm not talking about the hometown man. Terrence Terrell is from New Orleans. Yep. That's why they had to go with that. And in the long run, I understood why they did it. But yeah, there's other names I definitely would have loved to see in that spot. But hey, at least I care more about these 3 knockouts than I ever care about the Elegance brand. Anytime the Elegance brand's on my screen, click.
Yeah. No, Awesome Kong's from California, but it still would have been really cool to have a bigger name, because I'm sorry, Awesome Kong is one of the biggest names when you think of knockouts, because you know the classic matches that she had against, I can't even name all the people right now, because I remember seeing her back in 2008 when they were in Vermont in Barrie doing a house show. I believe Samoa Joe was the TNA champion at the time.
TNA champion. I mean, the first names that come to my mind are Gail Kim and Taylor Wilde.
Yeah. I mean, Gail could have even possibly come out of retirement for a match. Anyone but Terrell.
You could have done Tara.
Yeah, you could have got Tara.
Don't get me started on Tara.
Absolutely.
My God. Why is that woman not in the WWE Hall of Fame? Respect the freaking knockout Black Widow. Don't get me started on Tara. That's my girl.
Yep. So, I mean, that's my point. There's a plethora of people that they could have chose. And you know, I think my personal opinion, no one would have got a bigger pop than Awesome Kong.
Jazz would have been even more fun. But Jazz, I know, is a coach now in WWE. So, I mean, you know.
Well, you know, with it being TNA, why not? I mean, they've got partnership. So, I mean, it's anything's possible, I guess.
Feels more like a WWE product the more and more I watched it. Was I watching an episode of Impact, or was I actually watching a special?
Right. I do wish, though, that TNA would not do taping anymore. I wish they would just go live, because it would make it feel a lot better. Yeah.
They won't because of cost.
Yeah, I know they won't, unfortunately. Once in a while they'll go live. Big whoop. But, it is what it is. All right. The last thing we're going to hit on here real quick, we're going to talk about the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2026. That'll be happening on the 17th of April, which is Friday night. I'm not sure where, because it wasn't listed that I saw of where you can watch it. But I'm
YouTube.
hoping. Oh, YouTube. Okay. So you can watch
can't watch it on Peacock anymore.
Right,
And do you really think that's worth $30 in the ESPN app? Hell to the no.
To watch the wrestlers fall asleep.
Well,
If not them, us.
no. But anyway, there's one person that we know of that is getting inducted by somebody. And that one person we know is Stephanie McMahon. She is getting inducted by The Undertaker into the Hall of Fame. Go figure. But we have 5 other inductees with no one to induct them. So here is my question to you guys. I'm going to say the name of the inductee. You give me your opinion on who you think should be the inductor. All right. Here we go. So we'll start with Maddie. We'll go with Noah. AJ Styles.
Finn Balor.
All right, Noah. Who do you think should induct Styles?
Oh gosh.
I mean,
Balor's such a shout.
Yeah.
I honestly think Shinsuke Nakamura. They've been brothers for life in wrestling ever since New Japan Pro Wrestling. To hear a subtle Japanese and English humble intro to a man that's been a brother to him in this business, I don't think there's no one closer to AJ than Shinsuke Nakamura at this point. So Shinsuke Nakamura.
There we go. I think personally it should be someone from TNA. Not WWE, because I'm thinking TNA is what made AJ Styles. Who better than someone that's in TNA or was in TNA at the time? Maybe one of his biggest rivals at the time.
Frankie Kazarian.
I can understand that, but they have their own Hall of Fame.
Right. But with the conjoint partnership that they had, there's nothing says that they can't.
True.
And I think Kazarian exactly would be the one that I would have him induct.
I agree.
Yes, he's had some great matches. He's had some great rivalries in WWE over the past 13 years. But you want to induct someone in the Hall of Fame. You want to induct someone who's had the best, best in-ring career with this person. Like with me, when it comes to Ric Flair, who inducted Ric Flair? You remember? Okay.
There's Triple H.
You want to know who I would have had induct him? Who? Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You want to do something with that made the career, or define the career of the one that's getting inducted. Who better than Kazarian for AJ Styles? Exactly. I think that should be the one personally to induct him. All right. Cena. Justin says Cena. That's actually not a bad one because they had a few good matches together, and we already know they're friends. So I mean that kind of makes sense too. All right.
Yeah.
This one here. Let's see if someone matches on this one because I have a feeling we're gonna get a match somewhere. Demolition. Noah.
It's really hard to think about right now because so many of those people that they've worked with are either working in conjunction with like AEW, for example, like Von Erichs, or rest in peace to a lot of the legends they face. Mr. Fuji, I'm not even sure he could speak. So the only one I could think of at this point is maybe Jimmy Hart.
All right, Maddie.
Would it be bad if I said Crush? No.
It would be good.
I didn't say that for a reason.
Trying to think of it, I would probably say the Reaper Man or check it. It'd be Jimmy. It'd be Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart. You think it's Jimmy?
Jimmy.
I think it's a Hart, but I don't think it's Jimmy. I think it will be Brett because some of the best matches were Demolition versus Hart Foundation.
That's fair.
Do you think they'll put Brett back on TV after what he said about Vince's show?
Vince has nothing to do with this.
No, but he has said some shit about WWE recently that I don't think.
To be fair, who hasn't? And we're trying to honor the past. And to Jeff's point, Heart Foundation and Demolition, they had an incredible rivalry.
Absolutely. One of the best, I think. Absolutely one of the best.
Shout out the Anvil.
Yep, exactly. So you could even have Brett and Natalia if you wanted to, being that Natalia is Jim's daughter. You could technically do that. So that's my pick for Demolition. And
I like
mind
that.
you, I like the fact that they're finally going in. It's about fucking time.
Long overdue for this
Yes,
team. Now they just got to figure
absolutely.
out some others that are still MIA.
Exactly. All right, Maddie, Dennis Rodman.
Kim Jong-un.
Okay.
No, for me, I would say it's got to be an NWO member, so probably like Kevin Nash.
Okay.
That's the only one I could think of. Or DDP.
Kevin Nash or DDP. There we go. Noah.
Oh my gosh. How the bleep is this guy going in before? Never mind. Well, I'm not gonna say him, brother. But I'll say because NWO, it's gotta be NWO. Maybe if he's able to do it and wants to, Lex Luger.
That's
Okay.
a fair shot. That's a good shot.
One. I have two in mind. One is a long shot, and I'm not saying that because it's basketball, but you
God.
could go Karl Malone
I knew he was going to say Carl.
Okay.
or Eric Bischoff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. That's
The founding father of the NWO, and as far as we know, he's still very mutual with W. I'm pretty sure he's still on the Legends contract.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
because he's still in the game. So yeah, he's still got that contract.
Yep. All right. We just found out over the last couple of weeks of these two. The first one is Psycho Sid.
A bird as you do. That promo's gonna fall for the rest of his life.
Can we start over? No, we're live.
Wow.
We're live, pal. You get one take.
All right.
Oh,
Gosh.
Noah, go ahead. Go ahead. You started the last one, right?
I did the last one on the Drummond. So I guess I'm first this time.
Yep.
Oh, jeez. Between Skyscrapers, Four Horsemen, definitely not going to be Ric Flair, I think. Trying to think about the you know what? Keep it in the fam. I mean, hell, you have him do Triple H. Why not? We all know the connective history there with those two. Shawn Michaels.
All right, Maddie.
I was going to say HBK because just because the night you sit SummerSlam and that match and that pop, it's got to be Shawn.
Well, it sure isn't going to be the one where Psycho Sid ended up breaking his ankle off the freaking second rope.
You could pick Goldberg.
You could pick Goldberg. You could pick Heath Slater, who got his ass.
How about Brutus the Barber Beefcake?
Oh God.
But the first person that comes to mind, honestly, actually, there's two. You could do either Kevin Nash or you could do Shawn Michaels. Those are the two obvious for me. So
if Undertaker wasn't inducting Stephanie, it would have been Undertaker for me for Sid.
Oh yeah, when Sid was announced, I would have gone Undertaker. Again, he been facing for the street, but when Undertaker was announced for Stephanie, and I was wrapping my head about who makes the most sense to do that, why not the very person that literally introduced her to be part of the Hall of Fame? If it wasn't going to be Undertaker, I would have fought for sure. It would have been freaking Paul Levesque.
All right, here is the one that I think we're all going to get stumped on or really start to think on. The latest inductee, Bad News Brown.
Jake the Snake Roberts for me. That's the rivalry they had, and he's still breathing, and that rivalry they had, and that rivalry they had, where I remember. I think Bad News Brown had a like a sewer rat, and he introduced it to Jake. It's just that rivalry for me.
Okay. Who do you think, Noah?
I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't know much, of course, about the Bad News Brown because he was literally almost prior to my birth, as far as his apex. I
Right.
understood about Jake the Snake Roberts because I've also heard a thing or two about that from Jeff Meacham. Of course, that he never told me anything about that. Can't do Randy Savage. I know he did a little bit of work in Japan, though, based on what I read. But again, the only Japanese Hall of Famer they got that maybe could bring something forward if he wants to. I don't know, Keiji Muto, but I'm not sure how much he actually worked with him at all or any connections. Well, I mean, there was Chono, I think, at one point. But honestly, I think Matty hit the nail on the head based on the only stuff I know about him. Jake the Snake makes the most sense.
I can see Jake the Snake, but if you want, you could even go maybe as far as I don't. I know they had some sort of alliance at one point. I I wouldn't mind, to be honest with you, to see him get inducted by the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Mm.
Okay.
Because they did have not a direct alliance, but they did have you know, some sort of alliance together, and they wrestled around the same era, in the 80s. But I think that would be a good choice. But overall, I mean, it might even be just Triple H inducting him.
This
I
makes
was-
the most sense for Legacy, honestly.
Yeah.
I was just thinking generic wrestlers, but the way the WWE goes, they'll probably get someone like Big E to do it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
the Legacy also, I don't even know they do inductions for them. Isn't it just like you said, the Legacy, they talk a little bit about them, black and white picture. We welcome these guys into the Legacy wing of the WWE Hall of Fame. I don't even know if these guys are going to get an induction. They really have changed the format up of the Hall of Fame, where now it's about headliner, tag team, leading female celebrity. That's Ramen, though. Really? Legacy. And then now they induct a match.
That match hasn't been announced yet.
I know, exactly. So I think outside that, that's it.
Now, I want to know something. Your opinion on this one. Should the WWE induct? We've seen them induct ring announcers. Should they induct referees? Because if they should, there's one in particular that needs to be in the Hall of Fame, and that's Earl Hebner.
Oh, man.
Because this guy has been the backbone of referees and the one that people look up to as far as a referee goes for decades. My personal opinion is they need to induct their first referee into the Hall of Fame, and I think Earl Hebner should be the one to be the first one. And I believe that no better time than now to do it, because you still got 3 weeks where you can get a hold of him, tell him, hey, you're inducted, I think it'd be perfect. Yes, he's in the TNA Hall of Fame, is he not?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, he spent all of his career pretty much in WWE, along with his twin brother, which we all remember that fiasco with Hogan losing the title to Andre.
There's 2 of them, man. They
Yeah.
stuck together.
So I think personally, I think this would be a good opportunity to induct your first referee. And my first referee I would induct, if it wasn't Joey Marella, it would be Earl Hebner.
If Earl does go in, I want Bret Hart to induct him.
Great. About to say, let's really close the book on the Montreal screw job. But
Right.
I love that idea because we really talk about, again, the lifeblood, the backbone, the blood, the support that literally gives us the business today are the zebras, are the stripes, are the referees. And whether you look at Earl Hebner, Mike Chioda, Charles Robertson, just to name some of the most prolific referees, honestly, in professional wrestling, or being perfectly honest here. I think that makes actually a lot of sense. I honestly think a referee deserves more into the Hall of Fame than a match itself. Honestly, I would just get rid of the Warrior Award and use it now towards a referee, I think, at this point. I love that idea.
I would get rid of the celebrity wing.
Yeah.
I would too.
Well, at the end of the day, WWE is not just wrestling. Let's keep in mind they're sports entertainment. And it wouldn't surprise me, based on what we've seen recently, you might have Bad Bunny and Jelly Roll that might go to the Hall of Fame. And so far, both those men are far more deserving than Dennis Rodman is. But nonetheless, it's just one of those things right now looking at the WWE ecosystem and the way they really have changed their outlook on wrestling to forward more on storytelling reality. I think having referees in the Hall of Fame, though, would be a very nice way to balance out that respect towards those that have given to the business of professional wrestling, if not allowed it to continue to exist. And Earl Hebner is definitely the referee that I would first put in.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to do our final segment. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Last Minute Standing. All right, here we go. Last Minute Standing. This is what we do. We each get 1 minute. Talk about anything wrestling, past, present, future, any company. It could be MWL, as we are all part of MWL. Well, except Maddie. He's a former. former.
No, until next season.
Until next season, right? He's coming out of retirement. But you talk about anything you want as long as it's wrestling. Exactly. For the 50th time. Talk about anything wrestling you want for the 1 minute of duration that you get. So we are going to start off with Noah. I love starting off with Noah because he sets the bar for everybody else. So he knows, he calls it as he sees it, and he speaks his mind, which is why I love this guy. All right, Noah, your minute starts now.
I absolutely love right now where we stand in the professional wrestling business, how much there is so much to offer. Whether you look at New Japan Cup where Kyle Newman just won, of course, we get ready for Sakura Genesis. You look at, of course, the Cinderella tournament where Hanan won. Of course, we prepare for Dwayne Kingdom. We look at AEW where we're going towards Dynasty and Double or Nothing for the first time ever in New York City. WWE WrestleMania, this WrestleMania does feel like it has a lot more depth going into it and quality and story. So I'm really looking forward to the quality of both nights so far. I think both nights are building up very well. And of course, TNA, I'm still holding out for what TNA means. I hope they restore the honor, the prestige of the importance of the TNA Knockouts World Championship and really rebuild the TNA Knockouts division. But only time will tell. I don't know if NXT will ever grab me again, but at least with people like Joe Hendry, Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, Kendall Gray, and Ruka, and maybe if they find Zarya, and Lady Reed also has great rising talent, I think there's a lot of promise. The bottom line, we are approaching the most crazy month of the year when it comes to all things professional wrestling. If you do not find something, especially during the week of WrestleMania, we're going to cover Paul Mania, and I got two friends going to 16 shows. How can you be a fan of the business?
Exactly. And I think he took, ladies and gentlemen, 4 breaths. 1 breath every 15 seconds. This guy is like the Micro Machine Man.
Not the first one to say that.
Awesome minute, Noah. Thank you very much. Maddie, you've got to follow that, buddy. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your minute starts now.
I think the women's division in the WWE for the tag team division is subpar at the moment. I think WWE, as we talked before, has rushed the women's tag team division. I feel they're going to be like a fair 4-way. It's rushed. It's not. I don't think the Bellas deserves to be on the card. And it's just not par at the moment. However, the other side of this is in Progress Wrestling. This past 12 hours ago, witnessed one of the best pay-per-views they've done in a very long while. One of the best main events with Man Like Therese versus Kid Lykos, and Alexis Falcon defending her women's title against the retirement tour Mercedes Martinez. Amazing matches, and thank God we have referees like Alice Lane. And enjoy professional wrestling and don't be a dick.
Dickhead. And that was for you, Ash. I know you're somewhere out there, you batty little goober.
All right, my minute. I want to give props to Evolve. And the reason why I'm saying this is simple. No pun intended, Noah. To the match between Aaron Rourke and Jackson Drake for that title was absolutely unbelievable. WWE does mean equality. Aaron Rourke, the first singles openly gay champion. This guy is amazing. The moves this guy does, and he flaunts what it kind of reminds me of the Sunny Kiss of WWE right now. Aaron Rourke is truly a person to watch. If you've never seen him, see it. If you haven't seen the match, go take a look at it. It's on Tubi. This guy is unbelievable and well deserving to be champion. And the fact that WWE, I know I'm going over a minute, the fact WWE is putting an openly gay person up front as a champion, a singles champion, not a tag champion like we saw with Fred Rosser. Okay, singles. This is big, and people could like it, people could hate it, but you know what? It's equality. That is what this business is all about. They give everybody a chance. And I think this is a great start to a great championship run. Aaron Rourke, you have a number one fan here. Congratulations.
His idol is Charlotte Flair, and if you didn't notice though, when you saw Charlotte on SmackDown, she had the same makeup as Aaron.
Yep. I did notice that.
Well, clearly, if the Queen's taken notice of this, then you definitely have sparked interest in one of the greatest superstars ever in WWE history, if not the greatest female this generation. Whether you want to go by name or political analysis or not, you can argue with what Charlotte Flair truly pushes herself to be, and even more now in a humble state, especially with that gear worn out to that young little girl. And talking about people that, truly expose themselves to be who they are, didn't give a damn what you think. I feel like a figure too about that more personally, as we've discussed. And I think about what you just said. There's a reason why people like Charlie Morgan and Jetta of Pro Wrestling Queendom laid a groundwork for that inclusive nature, that promotion that the likes of Sapphire Reed and Sky Smithson and others have followed. And again, right now, Wrestle Queendom 8 is my show of the year.
Yes, agree.
Absolutely. There we go. All right. We're going to go around the table, plug and promote. We're going to start with our guests. Thank you very much, Noah, for joining us. You've been awesome. Hope you like the new setup of the show. I had a blast with you. Go ahead and plug and promote, man. Where can people find you?
I'm sure I'll see you around again. You know how to ping me. I'm always happy to be here with you, my friend. And Maddie, cheers, brother. Till next time. If people want to further engage with me, it's not about me, it's about wrestling. But you can find more about predictions and what I do with my friends, the Super Live Studios at SR Studios 2024. Over the last few weeks, we have interviewed incredible female talent ahead of the all-women showcase, Pulled Out Mania, that will be in Las Vegas. So if you get a chance, find my Civil YouTube channel at nfoster9016 and go check out the interviews. We've interviewed Leva Bates, Brittany Blake, Rachel Lay, Jasmine Allure, and we also have interviews coming up with Brooke Havoc, and this coming weekend, Izzy Moreno. Shout out, by the way, to Alejandra Quintanilla, by the way, La Leona, that was just with us also this past. We've also had interviews with the head of Title Match Network, Intelli, of course, the leader in Ladies Night Out. And you can follow Ed and San Antonio for further information on Product Made on the X. So again, follow SR Studios 2024 on the X for further information with upcoming interviews we have, and find my simple YouTube channel and Foster9016 to check out the existing interviews that we've done. And again, remember, I am nothing more but a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it! We only wish to remind you and encourage you there are no winners, no losers, no betters. Just fans of opinions with this passion we all share. So at the end of the day, folks, support one another, respect each other, protect your mentality too, treasure your families, and just for life, enjoy professional wrestling. It's as simple as that. Till the next time I see you in and out of YouTube or the Roundtable.
Awesome. Thank you very much, my friend. Maddie. Oh, boy. All right. It is your turn to plug and promote, my friend.
Well, seeing as we are on Wrestling Pedigree, Facebook and YouTube, Wrestling Pedigree 92 for Instagram, Wrestling Pedigree 92 for YouTube, Wrestling Pedigree on its own for Facebook and TikTok and WhatsApp channel. You can find myself on Monday and Fridays doing the watch-alongs on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown with Christopher Rotz. You can find Wrestling Roundtable here again in 2 weeks. And we'll find Wrestling Pedigree podcast with myself and Steve Aikens next Saturday, where we'll be discussing the good, the bad, and the ugly of WCW pay-per-views, and a special episode of who is the Marty in tag teams that people will bring up. So it's going to be fun.
The Marty. That's
the Marty
awesome.
Jannetty. That metaphor of an analysis for both male and female tag teams at this point. Of one who fries, the other one, they're just there. They're just a body. Jeez, oh face.
It's going to be fun.
We're just gonna toss them through the barbershop window, right? That's all.
Don't give Zarya and Soruka any further ideas. You like you said, they're on NXT Live. All right. Seriously.
You can find me, obviously, Jeff Chadwick on Facebook. You can find me here on Wrestling Pedigree and over on The Meltdown. You can find me in MWL. We are approaching the very end of the season. We've got 2 forms this week that's going to go out. We get next week off, and then we get ready for Final Stand, a.k.a. WrestleMania.
Lord.
And then we go into brackets, and we get ready for Season 8, which will be starting up the beginning of July. So it's a never-ending thing with me when it comes to these prediction leagues and stuff like that. So
at least you only have one. I hold friggin' 5 of them.
I'm actually in like 5 or 6 now. I was in 12 at one point, and I said, nope, I got to cut this one. Oh, I did. I cut it in half. I couldn't do it anymore. I can only show my love for a certain amount of people. 12 groups is just way too much for me. But yeah, you can find me here. You can find me Wednesday nights on Forever Boston Sports, as we will be covering the Bases Loaded, which we are covering the Oakland Athletics this week, the all-time team. We only got like 4 to go, guys, so we're coming up on the very end of our all-time teams, which will all be posted all at once over on Forever Boston Sports. And who knows, we may do a bracket kind of thing. It's like, which all-time team is the best team that we've come up with? Well, again, we'll let you guys figure. You would say that. You would say that.
Sports unless it's wrestling. So,
but you can see me over there Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can obviously see me here at on Wrestling Pedigree and the Wrestling Roundtable at 7 p.m. Eastern on Sundays. We are taking next week off due to Easter, so we will be back in 2 weeks to cover more of the news and whatnots in the world of wrestling. So make sure to join us back here in 2 weeks for that. For Maddie and Noah, thank you guys very much for joining me. I am Jeff Chadwick again. Thank you. And we will see you back here in 2 weeks for another edition of the Wrestling Roundtable. Have a good night, everybody.
have a good night, folks.